Just as this year's World Series of Poker was about to start, FTR had the chance to talk to poker pro and philanthropist Matt Stout about the nonprofit he has set up to help end hunger, the Charity Series of Poker. While still in the process of asking more poker professionals to get involved with his charity, Stout has already recruited household names including Mike Matusow, Matt Salzberg, and Mike the Grinder Mizrachi to play tournament poker against each other, celebrities, and amateurs while raising money for Nevada's only food bank, Three Square. Matt was eager to tell us all about the Charity Series of Poker, and we were equally excited to learn about the CSOP and what we could do to help him in his fight to end hunger. Please listen to what Matt had to say so you'll know what you can do to help raise money for a great cause while playing in poker tournaments with people who are destined to wind up in the game's history books for both their great play and their even greater deeds. What inspired you to start this?
I've kind of been involved in charity stuff most of my life. I started in high school, and because my older brother was always really involved in charity, and then when he went to Johns Hopkins, he became the president of Habitat for Humanity.
Oh, wow.
And then when I got involved after like kind of following his lead, and then when I was in college, I ended up being the vice president of Habitat for my college as well.
Oh, nice.
So I actually ran a potentially illegal $10 rebuy charity fundraiser for Habitat, and
How diplomatically put.
yeah. So I ran that and had a lot of fun with it, and then after college, when I started playing poker for a living, it was kind of always in the back of my mind. And when I started doing well and got pretty comfortable right before Black Friday, not that I wasn't doing well before that, but like once I was no longer addicted to poker and was like kind of financially where I wanted to be, I should say. Because there was definitely a serious addiction aspect to poker for me for a long time, but I was kind of starting to get the ball rolling, had already purchased the URL charitypokertour.org like years ago, and was going to get it rolling back then, and then Black Friday kind of turned my world upside down, forced me to start traveling around again to be able to play online. And I was no longer kind of at home base able to take the time and effort that I needed to get it moving. So it kind of stayed on the back burner and for a few more years until now. Now that I'm engaged and trying to spend a lot more time at home in Vegas, it's making it a little bit easier to get everything organized, put together the website, get all the pros involved, work it out with casinos. And it's just been something that I always felt like I wanted to do, A, because it's easy to get people in for charitable events, so I have a lot of contacts in the industry, and it makes it pretty easy for me to get the ball rolling when I know the people that I do, and they're always willing to help out for charity. And because playing poker in and of itself is a really fun profession and everything, but I also don't think it serves much of a purpose in society, and it's not like we're contributing anything useful. Faraz Draka tried to make the argument that we're entertaining people and they look up to us, and we serve a role there, kind of like athletes do, but I don't buy it.
So are you looking at this as a way for the poker community, or at least those involved in this venture, to give back something a bit more substantial or more meaningful than they could under ordinary circumstances?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it makes it a lot, like there's so many people who are willing to help, but they're not going to go to all the work to organize and make the thing actually happen. But they would show up, they would donate, they would, like be a featured pro for a tweet about it, whatever, and help raise money for worthy causes. So I'm just kind of trying to make it easy for everyone to get involved and trying to have the events around big events on the tour so that like a lot of the big name pros are already around and there's already like a poker buzz going around. So
how many events are you hoping to have each year, and are they going to be throughout the country or just all local in Las Vegas?
I mean, the sky's the limit, but I'm hoping to have within the next couple of years, my plan is to try to have 3 or 4 events around the country and hopefully take on someone to do some events in Europe and possibly Australia, wherever. And just to be able to help other people organize their events and promote them. So there's a potential that we're going to join with events that already exist, uh,
Hmm.
but I'm just kind of going one event at a time, figuring out what I'm doing. I already have spoken to several casinos, though, around the country who are interested, and we're like definitely considering events for later this year at different properties.
That's great.
Yeah, it's
How many people are you hoping will attend your first event? Because that's on July 6th, right?
yeah. I'll be pretty upset if we don't get at least 100 to 150. I think we should expect probably 200 to 300, and we're going to be able to serve almost 1,000 meals to hungry Las Vegans for every player that shows up and plays on average. So
Wow.
it should be a fun event. I expect a lot of drinking, a lot of rebuys, a lot of gambling, and a lot of fun. It's going to be a nice like change of pace with everyone like taking the World Series so seriously for 6 weeks and gearing up for the main event. It's going to be nice to kind of relax and just fling it in one night
How
and
competitive do
gamble
you
and
think these
have fun.
events will be by and large?
I do not expect them to be competitive at all. I want them to be social events. I mean, we're eventually going to have a leaderboard with some sort of prize, hopefully, for the CSOP Player of the Year.
Hmm.
So it might get competitive for that, but overall, I think people will see a pretty fun social atmosphere in the first event, and it's going to be more of a fun fundraiser and way to kind of take it easy between events instead of it being a real serious competitive tournament.
And what led you to choose Three Square as the beneficiary of the funds that you're going to raise? And as I suppose whether your series actually is replicated in other countries or it just simply expands to include stuff, say in Europe or Australia, as you mentioned earlier, would you consider donating to national or even global charities
That
in the
was
future?
that was that could have been separated into 2 questions. So,
Sorry.
um, because now I'm like, I was already answering the first one in my head, and then I had started answering the second one. Uh,
I believe in run-on questions. Sorry.
uh, the first one I chose Three Square because I've been working with them for the past couple of years, volunteering for them and getting involved in a lot of their efforts, and they are a member of the biggest national food charity, which is Feeding America, and they're Vegas's only food bank, and they partner with a lot of different food type charities in Vegas. Uh,
I
so
saw on their website it was like 600 or 800 different groups that they work with. Isn't that it?
yeah, and they also uh, 93 cents of every dollar goes directly to feeding, and they keep admin costs to a minimum. And
That
I
is
personally,
phenomenal.
yeah, for sure. I mean, how effective these charities are and how much gets wasted on admin is a big part of my decision-making process and what charities to be involved with. And just in general, food charities have always been something kind of like close to my heart because it's, I mean, for the most part, no matter who someone is or what they've done, they deserve to be able to eat. Like that's something that shouldn't be taken away from any human. So it really is heartbreaking to see like people that are just going hungry, and it's not just for the homeless. Like they serve for like indigent families and things like that. So they are providing for a lot of people that you don't realize are going hungry. Um, and so food charities being something really close to me in Las Vegas, or Three Square being Vegas's only food bank, is basically the reason that I've chosen them. Um, and as far as local versus international charities, we definitely plan on having having a fund for CSOP that gets distributed to several local and national, international charities.
Oh, that's great.
It's the problem is right now I need to establish 501c3 status for charity series of poker just to make sure I don't run into any trouble handling funds from prize pools because we have to
Right.
go through Nevada gaming for these tournaments and we'll have to go through New Jersey gaming for ones that we run in Atlantic City. Probably have to do the same thing in Florida. So uh, as it is right now, the first event is set up so that the check is cut directly from Planet Hollywood at the end of the night to Three Square, so that I don't have to be involved at all. But in the future, it'll be a lot easier for me to allocate different percentages to different charities based on how much is in the CSOP fund once we're a 501c3 and have everything running. Um, and I have Mike Frazen and Matt Savage, both of whom are going to be on the board of directors for the CSOP, helping me work on that right now.
Matt Savage is amazing. He did an AMA with us, and he is just such a thoughtful, excuse me, person, both in professional and personal context. I mean, he'll be a great asset.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a pretty good friend of mine, aside from, like, obviously I met him playing his tournaments and everything, but we've become pretty good buddies and go to a bunch of hockey games together every year and stuff. And
Well, certainly he doesn't share your taste in hockey teams, I hope.
no, but I still go to I still go to Sharks games. We ended up going to the Rangers Sharks game earlier this year when Hurdle scored 4 goals, including the one that just made Henrik Lundqvist look like a little girl. Um, so that was a little brutal. I think it was Henrik that was in that night. He was off at the beginning of the season, but thank God he's come together and has been killing it in the playoffs since we're 5 games away from winning the cup right now.
He is phenomenal. I mean, it has been quite a long time since I've seen a goaltender do some of the stuff that he's managed to do this postseason. I mean, he's on fire.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I guess it's kind of hard to say right now, but just in terms of annual revenues or, goals at this point, do you have them or is it just premature since you haven't even had your first event yet?
I just eventually want to raise more money than I've gross won at poker. That's my own personal goal at the moment, but we don't have short-term goals and then really set yet. I do have like goals in mind for how much we're going to raise for Three Square in the first event, but I haven't really sat down to figure all that out. I'm too worried about putting it all together, putting together the promotions, making sure the first event runs smoothly, and making sure we're a 501c3.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are all of your tournaments going to be no
Wait,
limit?
let me get back to something else.
Yeah.
One of the other, obviously, like I said, Habitat is another charity that I work with a good amount. So aside from food charities, that's another one that I'm going to do a lot for. Probably going to raise money for some shelters and things like that as well. But we're also open to donating percentages of prize pools or percentages of the CSOP fund to different charities and organizations based on partnerships we make and how much they raise in their events. So that's
nice.
one way that we make it easy for everyone to get involved, to raise money for the charities they want to raise money for, as long as they're established 501c3s and they're willing to donate portions of the prize pool to the CSOP's main partners. That gives us some leeway to make agreements that are good for both parties. And also the international aspect, that's one of the main reasons that we're leaving it open, because we're obviously willing to have them raise money for international European causes as well, or wherever they're raising money.
Now, do you ever see, and I guess this is sort of a loaded question, I suppose, do you ever see the CSOP getting behind like a political cause, or is it really just going to be stuff that affects individual lives directly?
Definitely not making it about politics. There's no need for that. That would be ridiculous. We're just trying to help people, help causes, and I mean we'll work with different groups that are politically affiliated and with different churches, since churches are often uh, like the ones who are involved in some charity efforts. But we're
Mhm.
never excluding anybody, and it's never going to be about the politics or about the churches.
That's a relief.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, moving forward, do you see all of your tournaments being no limit hold'em, or are you going to try to introduce like Omaha or even open face Chinese poker or anything like that? Or what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, we're open to doing whatever people want to spread. If the game becomes Badoogie in the future, we're gonna run some Badoogie tournaments. We're dynamic.
I think that's awesome. What is the one thing that if you could have a catchphrase to inspire people to get behind the charity series of poker, what would
Where
it
poker
be?
players give back.
Nice. Now, are you still actively recruiting additional professionals and celebrities to join to participate, or do you feel like you're
Yeah,
comfortable with the group that's already on board?
there we already added Will Fela, along with probably Monster Products
Nice.
and Mike McZrocky so far, and there's a whole list of people I haven't gotten around to asking yet because I've been going crazy traveling back and forth for Scoop and the national championship. But I just got home. I have today off since I'm probably skipping the 25K at 4 o'clock, and just gonna fire the 1K PLO tomorrow as my first event. Um, so that's one of the things I've been working on today is getting up the Google Plus page, which I've deleted and remade twice in order to try to get a shortened Google URL that isn't absurdly long. Because they
Right.
keep giving me it's not worth explaining, but I've been trying to do a lot of things for the CSOP. I created a Facebook event page for it today, and I'm gonna
Great.
go bomb invite everyone I know.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for meeting with
No,
me. I'm really excited to spread the word about all of this stuff, and we're going to come up with a kick-ass article and, include some audio clips from this interview and stuff. So I'm really, really excited. I'm hoping that we generate a lot of interest in what you're trying to
yeah,
do.
I appreciate it. It definitely helps having you guys and other media outlets spread the word and help us get as many people as we can out there. It'll be fun to have a bunch of people I know hanging out, drinking, and playing the event too. Because I'm certainly going to be drinking. I don't care if I'm running. By then, by then everything's in place or should be, and by the time I sit down and start flinging it in blind in the rebuy hour, I want to be able to have a few beers. Uh,
There you go.
I think you got all the info for the event. It's a 260 plus 40. Planet Hollywood just needs to cover their fees, pay the dealers out of the 40. So it's going to be a 260 plus 40 with $100 rebuys and add-ons for the first hour. It's July 6th at 5 p.m. as part of Planet Hollywood's Phamous series, and half the prize pool goes to Three Square, half the prize pool goes to payouts, in addition to sponsor products that will be given to players who make the final table and gift bags for everyone who plays.